Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd do something different to a bag because we're all stuck at home. I wanted to make myself something super cute for my house that I can enjoy. So I am going to teach you today how to make this super cute cushion. It's got the concealed zip in the back so you can't actually see it, just for something different. And I did the embroidery. I didn't put the embroidery in the video because it's like an hour-long stitch out, but I can do another one if you'd really like to see how it goes. Otherwise, yeah, if you'd like to see how to make this cushion, please stay tuned. So, our embroidered panel is going to be a 10-inch square. And then I've got the two side pieces. So I'm going to have my side short and my top long. So I've got two pieces here that are 10 inches by 3 inches. And then I've got two pieces that are 15 inches by 3 inches. So because this fabric's directional, I've made sure that the slots are all going to go the correct way. So I'm going to start by stitching this panel. So I'm going to take one of my short panels first, line it up, and then stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And make sure they're all lined up at both ends. Make sure that you back stitch at the start and the end to make sure it's really locked in place. So now I'm going to open this out, and then I'm just going to check to make sure that my slots are going to go the right way. So that's how I want them. So I'm going to put the right sides together and then stitch a 1/4 inch down this edge, making sure that I back stitch at the start and the edge. So now what I'm going to do, I want my cushion to be machine washable, so I'm just going to overlock down each edge. I'm just going to have to pause you because you're sitting on the overlocking table, so it means that you're all going to vibrate if I turn it on. So I'll just pause it, I'll overlock that and come back. If you don't have an overlocker, you can just zigzag along that edge as well. Or if you don't want to do either of those things, it just means you have to hand wash it. Okay, so I'll be right back. Right, so that's now nice and overlocked. So now what you want to do is you want to open that out and iron those bits down flat. And then we're going to grab our long panels. So you just check which one and see if you want one at the top or the bottom. This one's got a sloth relatively in the middle. So I'm going to put that one at the top. So I'm going to line up the top edges and then flip it down to sew the raw edges together. So I'm going to line it up at the edge of our other sloth piece. Use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, making sure we back stitch, and then just stitch all the way along the top, making sure that we're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then back stitching at the end. And then we're going to do the same thing again. So we're going to line it up. So if that's our top, that's our bottom. And then you flip it so that the right sides are together. And we're going to stitch that with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Alrighty. Chop off all your excess threads as you go. And so then you're going to want to overlock those sides again. And then get your embroidery in the center. So I'm just going to pop this on the side because I've got one here that I have already embroidered. So like that. So I have got overlocking on all the raw edges to make sure that it's machine washable. Alright, so we can set that on aside though, so that's that bit done. Now we want to do our back panel. So my back pieces are 15 inches wide, and this one's 4 inches, and this one is 13 inches. So what I'm going to do is a beautiful concealed zip, But again, so what you want to do is you want to overlock or zigzag over the raw edges. And I probably should have done this before I recorded the video. So give me a... Alright, so I've now overlocked those edges. So I've done the 15-inch edge because that's where we're going to put our zipper. So what I want to do is I want to put my fabric right sides up and then my zipper right side down and stitch that on with my foot is going to run along the edge of the zipper teeth. We also want to make sure that we back stitch to lock those stitches in. Back stitch at the end as well, and then we're going to twist it around and we're going to sew. So you want to turn it so it's the other way around, and then you're going to just fold back that top layer to lean over the stitching we just did, and then I'm just going to use a 1/8 seam allowance and stitch along there, making sure that my seam is tucked under. You can iron this before you go if you want to. I'm just going to finger press mine all the way to the end, and again we're going to back stitch and trim off our tails. So now we've got one side, it's got a nice little stitch there, and we've stitched the zipper down. So now we're going to do the same to the other side. So I'm going to put this one right sides up, and then the zip right side down, lining up my fabric because I cut my zip a little bit longer than I needed. So we're going to do a few stitches and then back stitch, and then line up the edge of your zip with where you've overlocked. I'm going to get all the way to the end and back stitch, and then we're going to pull it out. We're not going to go and top stitch like we did the other one. So now what we want to do, this is where it gets a bit tricky. So I'm going to fold this, so I'm going to have my little panel on the bottom, I'm going to fold this all the way over, and then I just want to peel this back so it's in line with our stitching on the other side. Like so. So now you can finger press it or you can iron it. I'm just going to press it and then put a couple of pins in the center so that it stays where I want. Maybe my pins want to go through. There we go. So I just want that folded edge in line with the top stitching we did on the first one. So we're going to have it folded over, and then your zip will be hidden under there. So you can either iron or pin that, whichever you prefer. And then I'm going to flip it over from the back, and I'm going to stitch with my foot up against the zipper, which will be the same lot of stitches we just put in. You're just going to sew straight over the top of those again. And then back stitch that. So now when we take those pins out, you will now have this little flap and the zipper is hidden underneath. So now we're up to putting our zipper head on. So over here I have my home version of a zip thing, which is just a clamp with half a fork attached to it. So you're just going to split your zipper open a little bit and then feed it through evenly. Evenly being the key. If you do this crooked, your fabric will sit crooked. So I'm going to zip it probably all the way up to about, I don't know, 2/3 and then open it again. So I'm going to be able to get in there later. If you're at all worried about pulling your zipper off before you get to stitching the, oops, sorry. If you think a zipper pull will fall off before you get your embroidery done and then put it back on, you can just tack this down at both ends. So you put that down and then just do like a little basting stitch on both ends so it won't come off. But I'm not worried because I've already done mine. This design took about just over an hour to stitch out. So it is super cute, but it took a while. That's why I'm not doing it in the video. Now I want my zipper at the bottom. So the bottom is currently facing me. So I'm going to take the bottom of the cushion and make that touch the bottom. Now you can pin this if you want to, or you can clip it. Whatever makes you happy. My cushion is actually just a little bit too big, so I always trim it down. But I won't trim it down to the very end. So I'm going to stitch along the bottom, then up the side, and then take it off, stitch up the other side, and then level out the top. But you can pin it all and chop it off now, and then you can just do a full stitch around with no stopping. So I just want to make sure this edge is lined up. Stick it under, do a couple of back stitches at the start, line up the panels, and I'm just doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance here as well because that's all I've allowed for my cushion. If you don't like 1/4 inch seam allowances, if you want it thicker, just add more to your side strips or your center, depending on which way you want it to look. Then when I get up to the side, I just want to make sure that my little conceal zipper tab is facing down. We don't want it popping up randomly. And then I'm just going to stitch all the way to the end here. And then I'm going to back stitch and take it out. So that's 2 of my sides stitched. Now I'm going to come in from the bottom over the other side. And I'm going to stitch up this side as well. And again, if you have pre-pinned this and trimmed your top, you don't have to do it this way. Then I want to make sure my tab is down with no little lumps in it. And then stitch up the side. Like so. Now, I can just level this out and then stitch the top shut. Back stitch in the corner and then grab some scissors and trim off that excess that I had at the top. And then we've left our cushion open, so you can just come in and turn it inside out. Now, if you are overlocking yours before you turn it out, you just want to overlock all the way on all 4 edges. Go nice and slow when you're going over the zipper because it will be thicker and you don't want your threads to break. And so long as you haven't used a metal zipper, you can definitely just overlock over the zipper. If you want to use a metal zipper, I suggest you do little tabs on each side so it won't be caught in the seam. Then we can zip that up. As you can see, you can't see the zipper. There is a beautiful little cushion. Please share with me all the designs that you guys do. And if you don't have an embroidery machine, you could do free stitching here or patchwork or just showcase like a really pretty piece of fabric. So please share in my group what you've made. I'd love to see them.